Welcome to Your Vote Counts, a candidate forum sponsored by Capital Community TV and the League of Women Voters of Marion and Polk Counties. My name is Diana Bodker, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan political organization that works to educate ourselves and the public about government issues. In this program, we will present the candidates for the Municipal Court Judge. They are alphabetically Jane Aiken and Melissa Parker. Our format for this forum is as follows. Each candidate has 3 minutes to give an opening statement outlining candidates' background and their top 3 priorities if elected. Following that, each candidate will be given 1.5 minutes to answer questions that have been prepared by League members on current issues. The candidates were not given the questions ahead of time. At the end, the candidates will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement in which to state the legacy they would like to leave if elected to the office. The question order will rotate, so we will begin with Ms. Aiken as candidate A for opening remarks.
Thank you. My name's Jane Aiken. I'm the current municipal court judge, and I've proudly served in this position for over 11 years. My background includes having grown up in Salem as the second of 5 siblings, graduating from the Salem Public Schools, Baker, Bush, Leslie, and South, and as a graduate double duck from the University of Oregon, undergraduate and law school. My summers in Salem were spent from bean and berry picking to cannery work and working for Park and Recreation. I grew up in Salem, and that's what motivated me to come back here, practice law, and ultimately become a judge for the municipal court. My 3 top priorities, if reelected, are to continue the work that we've made good progress on over the last 3 terms, modernizing the court, taking it online 367, 365, 366, depending on leap years, 24/7 throughout Salem with access for the courts, the attorneys who work in our court, and for the public to determine what's happening with their case, to deal with language issues, access to justice issues, and then the last 2 priorities, which will focus on that, will be standing up a community court to deal with homelessness-related criminal activities and to deal with an independent, accountable indigent defense services system. To modernize that system would take it from the judge and place it as an independent, separate organization, making sure that the defense attorneys are accountable to the public and to the clients they're supposed to serve. Thank you.
Ms. Parker, now make your comments.
Thank you. My name is Melissa Parker, and I am running for the position of Salem Municipal Court Judge. I have been a private practice attorney in Salem for over 7 years. I do primarily court-appointed criminal defense work. I currently practice primarily in the circuit court, but I have practiced in the Salem Municipal Court as well as municipal courts throughout Marion and Polk counties. I see that there are efficiency issues in the Salem Municipal Court that don't exist in a lot of other courts that I have worked in, and I would like to address those issues. I grew up in Central Washington. My parents are, my mother's a music teacher. My father works for an Indian tribe in Yakima, Washington. And so I have a very unique experience of coming from an area where it was primarily Hispanic and Native American students in my schools. And I understand the difficulties and challenges that different cultures and different backgrounds may face. I have a unique experience coming here to Salem to practice. I went to Willamette University and graduated in 2009. Willamette University College of Law, excuse me, and graduated in 2009. Since starting my own practice, I have practiced all over, seeing the community as a whole and seeing a lot of the issues that we face as a whole. My focus in the municipal court would be to improve the efficiency and the allocation of resources in that court. I think that the judge belongs on the bench. I think that the judge that is elected to serve needs to be in court accountable to the people that elect her. I think that we need to improve the efficiency of day-to-day court proceedings. Officers that are waiting in court for their violation trial should not have to wait for an hour for the judge to arrive. I think individuals that are waiting to discuss a parking ticket should not be so fed up with the process that they just give up and pay the ticket and leave. I think we all have a right to address the court in a timely and efficient manner, and that is a change that I would like to bring to the municipal court. This matters because the court is funded by your tax dollars. Those tax dollars need to be used wisely. This also matters because everyone deserves justice, and that justice should be delivered in a timely manner. Thank you.
Ms. Parker, why are you qualified for this position?
I'm qualified for this position because I have been a practicing attorney for 7 years as a defense attorney. In law school, I practiced as a prosecutor at the Marion County District Attorney's Office. So I've addressed the kinds of cases that are appearing in the municipal court in Salem from both sides. I see the interests in the city attorney representing the community and ensuring community safety. I also see the interests of defendants and the circumstances surrounding their arrival in the municipal court. And I understand that it's not simply a matter of what the facts of the case are, it's also a matter of what the circumstances surrounding this person and their life are. And that needs to be a balanced resolution. I think that because I have experience on all sides and because I have experience with a number of courts and a number of judges, I'm able to make those decisions.
Ms. Aiken.
Thank you. I believe I'm best qualified for this position based on the proven experiences of the last 11 years where I've been the judge and modernizing the court and bringing access to justice to more people and more efficiently over the last 11 years. I came to that from having 4 years experience as a prosecutor, serving in Coos County as a special prosecutor for Douglas County, in Benton County and Marion County, and seeing the different ways the different courts dealt with challenges. The lessons I learned as a prosecutor in Coos County in handling 15 to 18 jury trial preparations per week gave me a chance to see what we can do to modernize our court and handle our case volume differently. And so I instituted changes in our court in 2007 and 8 based on experiences from other courts as a prosecutor. From my 22 years in private practice, I've handled family law cases for thousands and hundreds of cases in the criminal world, appearing in courts in most of Western Oregon, municipal courts, justice courts, and in the state courts up and down the western side of the state, applying those lessons learned. And then added to that 6 years of pro tem experience serving under Judge Gruber in his court. I knew what the challenges were, and I was able to apply my experience to changing and improving the court each year, year by year, for the last 11 years.
All right, the next question. Ms. Aiken, do you feel that the resources allotted to the justice courts are adequate to fulfill the responsibilities of the office?
Well, justice courts are different than municipal courts, and so you'd have to look to the counties to fund the justice courts. The cities individually fund the city courts, and so on a case-by-case basis, you'd see some justice courts are adequately funded, some justice courts are not funded sufficiently for the work that they do. At the municipal court level, it depends on the type of municipal court you have. Ours is a high-volume, dual-service court. We handle criminal cases as well as violations. We're one of the busiest municipal courts in the state. We are now adequately funded after 11 years of give and take with the city council and the budget based on our workload, the caseload, and what we're trying to do philosophically with the court. Some of the municipal courts around the state are inadequately funded. One of the shortfalls we have in our court is court security. Space consolidation needs with court staff to be more efficient in one location, and the disproportionate physical facilities for the two courts that we operate. We have a big courtroom for the main courtroom, and we use council chambers for the second courtroom, and that's inadequate for security for the public and the courts. Two modest-sized ones, which I think are in our future, would adequately handle not only the court now, but also for the next 25 to 30 years. So that's a roundabout question. Justice courts, some yes, some no. Municipal courts, again, it depends on the city and the size. Our court right now is appropriately sized and funded.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Parker?
I assume that you were talking about our municipal court specifically with your question, so I'll answer it with that assumption. I think that our municipal court is funded adequately, if the resources are not apportioned appropriately. We have a $1.9 million budget for the municipal court. Right now, we spend more than $200,000 per year on additional judges hired at an hourly rate to support additional court time that our salaried elected judge is not providing. That's excessive, in my opinion. I think we will always need some additional substitute judge positions, simply because the elected judge needs vacation and needs to go to conferences and needs additional meetings, etc. But I think that spending 70% of our time in court with additional judges that are not the elected judge is not the best use of those resources.
All right. Ms. Parker, what improvements would you advocate in the justice court system?
Well, and as I think previously maybe jumped the gun and answered that question a little bit already, I would dramatically reduce the pro tem or hired judge time. I think that we overuse that in the municipal court. And we do have some tremendous pro tem judges. I've worked with them and enjoy them immensely. But I think that the judge that is elected needs to be on the bench. Right now, my opponent averages 67 hours per pay period that are actual work hours, and averages less than 50% of work time actually on the bench in court. And I just think that that's an inappropriate percentage. I think that the primary responsibility of the elected judge is to be in court, being a judge. I think most of the functions of the municipal court should be handled by a hired court administrator, which we have. And I think that that should be the primary delegation of responsibilities should go to that person.
Ms. Aiken.
Thank you. I've heard this comment several times over the course of the campaign. I think Ms. Parker's confusing the difference between an elected municipal court judge who acts as a justice court and as a municipal court from the contract judges that some cities have, who are only hired for limited persons and limited dockets. We have a full-time judge who has the authority to create rules to make the court more efficient, to delegate issues so the court staff can handle things for the public more efficiently without needing to see the judge and waiting for hours to see the judge. The pro tem judges handle second courtroom dockets. They handle conflict cases. If someone is a former client of mine, I can't hear that case. And so what we've done over the years is create a form so we can determine how those dollars are being used in monitoring pro tem utilization and how they're used. 0.6 of the time that they're being used is for second dockets. 0.1 of an FTE time it's being used for sick leave, conferences, attending outside business work for the court. And so Ms. Parker's misstating what has been the history, and she's misunderstanding the hours that I've spent in the evenings on the weekends that don't get recorded on a paycheck. The evenings and weekend hours I spend drafting the strategic plan and working with the court administrator, two separate functions. Our court administrator administers the staff and trains them, selects them, and moves the cases along in that fashion. But it's the elected judge who sets the policies for the court and has the authority under the city charter to do so. It's different. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Aiken, what unique situations face our municipal court in the next 2 years?
Well, there's a challenge. We have a unique opportunity now as the city is planning for the police department to move to a new location. So we have the opportunity, as my strategic plan is laid out, to determine how we're going to reallocate space within the Civic Center and provide one court space for all the court staff, for 2 courtrooms that would be secure, that would have the adequate facilities for handicapped access, for those with hearing disabilities, and so forth. And so planning that over the next 2 years is a huge opportunity for the city. Consolidating the space of the court, and by going online, you'd eliminate a lot of the space taken up by file cabinets, for example. And so you could have 2 courtrooms, both of modest size, to meet the needs of the court for the next 25 to 30 years. If the court, as you expand and grow, go into evening hours, without adding a 3rd court, you can just go into the evening hours, day at a time, until you've filled up those dockets and serve the city of Salem for the next 30 years. So it's future planning that we can future-proof the court. And that's the next 2 years will be very exciting.
All right. Ms. Parker?
My opponent and I don't particularly disagree on this issue. I think that there are a lot of opportunities for change in the municipal court coming up with our new police department likely to be moving within that time frame. There's a lot of space available in the City Hall building that the municipal court may have access to. I think there's also a substantial opportunity to get essentially an e-court program working through the municipal court, where attorneys and clients and people throughout Oregon can review records available to them regarding the municipal court and save themselves a trip to City Hall, be able to access records all over the state for people that are in treatment in other places or things like that, for example. I think that that's a unique opportunity that definitely needs to be put in place, and we're a little behind the 8 ball on that at this point.
Ms. Parker, what should our community understand about the work of the municipal court?
I think we actually kind of neglected to clarify that a little bit. The municipal court serves the city of Salem. We handle traffic cases, we handle code enforcement cases, we handle low-level misdemeanor cases. Non-person misdemeanor cases. We still have DUIs, which are the highest level misdemeanor. We still have driving while suspended cases, hit and run cases when there's just property damage. So there are some pretty serious cases that do come through the municipal court. And I think that the average voter most likely doesn't have much interaction with the municipal court, and that's a good thing. But I think it's important to know what's happening and who's accountable for it. Your tax dollars fund the Salem Municipal Court, and I believe that those tax dollars are not being used particularly wisely at this point, and there's room for improvement on that. Talking with police officers, talking with other defense attorneys, there's a substantial lag time in the municipal court, and there's a lot of frustration involved with people that have to work with the court on a regular basis, and I think it's time for a change.
Ms. Aiken.
Thank you. Well, I'm proud of the work of the municipal court and what we've done over the last 11 years, and I'm proud of the work that Judge Gruber did before me. The only short change he had was he didn't have the resources and staff to put forward his philosophy of a community court and a justice court that serve the public. Most people don't realize this, but more people are injured and killed in traffic accidents that are preventable. And a municipal court is dealing with that on a daily basis. Over 30,000 or nearly 30,000 traffic tickets a year are filed in our court. If you change the behavior of how people drive, hang up the cell phone, don't speed, obey the stop signs, you would save lives, you'd save productivity, and you'd have a more livable community. From the time someone gets a permit to drive or drives without a permit, the court who intervenes with that child, that teenager, is going to make a difference in how they conduct themselves as a driver on into their senior years. When you get senior drivers who are beginning to have some problems with their cognitive functions or physical functions, you need to have a court who understands how to get them into the programs they need, how to allocate resources as far as driving improvement to make it a safer community. Our community court concept deals with those who are in the quality of life offenses, the homeless, those who are dealing with mental health issues, and we do that exceptionally well in our court. As we stand up a municipal court, it will be better for those who serve as attorneys in that court if they serve their clients first, and as the court redirects the help of those who need that through the court, whether they're a veteran, a homeless individual, or someone just struggling with the economy. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Aiken, if elected, what steps would you take to improve the transparency of your office?
Well, one of the things I've done for the last 11 years and more recently is to conduct annual stakeholder meetings with the professionals who serve in the court, quarterly meetings with the defense and prosecution teams, and I would continue that. I've attended forums for neighborhood association meetings telling them what I'm doing in the court. I consulted them over a 2-year period, and the civic groups and League of Women Voters and others to talk about my strategic plan for the next 4 years, seeking their input, seeking their ideas of what they need from their municipal court to better serve the public. And so I'd continue outreach, continue being available anytime the neighborhood association wants me to come in and talk about what's going on in their neighborhood, as I've done for 11 years, and going to Salem City Club as I have, and other groups to appear and tell them what's happening with municipal court and what needs to be done and how we can improve.
All right. And you?
I think that, again, I keep harping on this, but I think the significance of having a judge that is elected be sitting on the bench most of the time is the easiest and most effective way to improve transparency in a court. The person that you have essentially hired to do this job is here doing this job, and you can come verify that every day. I think that's very important. I think that stakeholder meetings are important. I would hope to improve the participation in that. The last stakeholder meeting I went to had 6 people in the room. And I think that that is a disservice. The community just is not particularly aware or involved with the municipal court, and I think that that's somewhat sad, quite honestly, because there's a lot that the community can do to be involved with the court, and the court can help be involved with the community, and I would like to improve that.
All right, now for your closing statements. And so, Ms. Parker, would you please give us your 2-minute closing statement?
Sure. As I have said throughout this process today, it is significant to me that the municipal court is shielded from the majority of the community. The community doesn't really know about what goes on in the municipal court, and I think that that's a problem. Because I see a lot of problems in the municipal court as it stands today, and they're solvable problems. There are things like, let's keep court on time. That means that we improve access to justice for every single person that walks through the door. When attorneys know what their schedule is going to be, they're willing to come to court. Right now, there are a number of my colleagues who have simply said, I refuse to practice there, or I charge my clients double to practice there because it takes the whole afternoon. I have been in this court until 6:30 at night on a 3:30 court appearance, and that's just not a way a court should function. This is not an isolated incident. In almost a year ago exactly, the court did a survey to anyone that has an interaction or is involved with the municipal court, and that survey was essentially, how are we doing? What are our problems? What are our strengths? And a lot of the problems were specifically, the court runs behind, the court does not respect our time, the court does not respect us. This is an anonymous survey, so who knows who those people are, but this is multiple reactions. The court needs to run on time, the court needs to be efficient and respectful, and I would like the opportunity to make that happen. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Aiken?
Thank you. With all due respect to Ms. Parker, the purpose of a municipal court is to do justice. And the justice is for those people who come before the court, whether it's on a parking ticket, a traffic ticket, or a criminal matter. The attorneys are important in their roles. The prosecutors have a role to do. The defense attorneys have a role to do. But the judge's job is to do justice, to make sure that the individuals appearing before the judge are treated fairly, impartially, that there's transparency, that the defense attorneys do their job, zealously advocating for their client, not asking the judge for a rubber stamp on a plea deal that they and the prosecutor worked out. It's up to the judge to inquire, to make sure that the plea is freely and voluntarily made, that the defendant understands what they're doing and what's going to be expected of them, whether they're entering into a DUI diversion program or probation on a trespass charge or a simple parking ticket, to understand the law and what's expected so they can comply. Most people who appear in our court are citizens who have made a mistake, who are trying to find out, I thought you could make a right turn on a yellow light to go over the bridge to West Salem, not realizing the Oregon law requires that you stop at a yellow light. So part of the court's job is to help educate the public. Part of the job is to help demystify courts, because they seem to be the mystery that no one understands. And I've taken the last 11 years to try to demystify the court, to expand the understanding among those who appear by asking questions, letting them know that the court does care about their individual case, that I will hear about their background that may make a difference in how the judge ought to impose a sentence. Ms. Parker talks about a system that is basically rubber stamp, one-size-fits-all justice, hurry and efficiently get out, like a fast food operation. But justice for Salem Municipal Court, in my opinion, is a problem-solving court, that addresses the individual needs, the individual circumstances, and what's going to be done to help them re-enter society if they're in the homeless society quality of life case, and whether or not the young drivers or the older drivers are going to adequately and safely navigate the streets to keep us all safe. We need a safe and livable community, and that starts with the work of municipal court. Thank you.
That is all the time we have. You have been watching Your Vote Counts, a candidate forum for municipal court judge with Jane Aiken and Melissa Parker. We hope you will watch our other candidate forums, and please see CCTV website for time and dates. These forums are a public service to voters to become more acquainted with candidates who hope to lead our city, our county, and state governments in the coming years. Ballots will be mailed the last week of April and should be returned May 15 by 8 p.m. Remember, postmarks do not count. We urge you to make democracy work and be a voter. This is Diana Bodker for the League of Women Voters and CCTV, thanking you for watching Your Vote Counts.